Chapter 5. Jean convinced Fiona Ann to come back inside to enjoy the party. Lucian talked Daedra into staying as well, and both women agreed to stay away from each other. It was easy enough to do with nearly 30 people crowding Jean's townhouse. Ruth, Daedra, and Lucian were sitting at the kitchen table when Judith and Ezra entered the party holding hands. The three women stared at Ezra with their mouths opened. "Only you can prevent wildfires," Daedra laughed. Lucian threw her head back and let out a roar of a laugh. Ruth bent forward and nearly choked on her drink from laughing so hard. "Shoot, all his big ass needs is a ranger's hat and a shovel. You can't tell me that ain't Smokey the Bear." Judith caught sight of her sister and friends laughing like idiots, and she felt reluctant to even introduce them to Ezra. She knew them well enough to know they were laughing at him, and it made her angry. The fact that Daedra was there at all had Judith incensed. Thankfully, Jean was gracious and welcoming and offered to get Ezra something to drink. "You okay, baby doll?" he whispered, noticing the change in her attitude. "Yeah, I'm fine," she said, as Lucian, Ruth, and Daedra walked towards them. Judith took a few deep breaths and hoped the women wouldn't embarrass her. "Ezra, this is my sister Lucian and my friend Ruth. And this is Daedra," she said, glaring at the woman. "It's so nice to meet you, Ezra. We wondered who's been keeping our Judith away from us," Daedra commented as she shook his hand. "I've heard wonderful things about you, not from Judith, of course, since she never calls anymore. If Ruth hadn't told me about the party tonight, I wouldn't have had the honor of meeting you." "It's nice meeting you too," Ezra said, even though he felt the tension between Daedra and Judith. "Come here, big teddy bear," Lucian said as she reached up to embrace him. He had to stoop in order to hug her. "I'm so glad to finally meet you. I've never seen my sister as happy as she's been since meeting you." "Well, thank you, I'm glad to hear that. And the feeling is definitely mutual." "Meeting baby. Judith has been one of the best things to happen to me," Ezra grinned, pulling her closer to him. Ruth shook Ezra's hand, and so did Fiona Ann when she joined their huddle. Then, after a bit more idle chit-chat, the women pulled Judith away. "Make yourself at home, Ezra. We gotta go talk about you now," Jean smiled before ushering the ladies upstairs to her bedroom. He winked at Judith, letting her know he didn't mind. "So that's who you left Sydney's fine ass to be with." Ruth frowned as she plopped down on Jean's queen-sized bed. "Ruth," Lucian snapped. "What? You know y'all were thinking the same thing. They look like Beauty and the Beast. Looks aren't everything," Fiona Ann chimed in despite having the same thoughts as Ruth. "Ezra obviously loves Judith, and I'm guessing she feels something similar, right, Mad? That's what matters. So you love him?" Daedra asked, skeptically. "You've known him for what, 2-3 weeks, and now y'all in love?" A silence fell over the room when Judith looked at Daedra. Her eyes narrowed, her nostrils flared, and the slight upturn of her lip looked evil. "Say one more thing and I'm gonna beat the shit out of you," she thought, fully prepared to act on her silent threat. Judith glared at Daedra for a few more moments and decided it was best to deal with her on a different occasion, preferably without witnesses. Her disrespectful sister and friends, however, she planned to address right then and there. Judith knew Ezra wasn't the most handsome man in the world, but she resented them making it seem like he was the ugliest. "Look, the bottom line is I'm with Ezra and I care about him. I'm just sorry I brought him here. I resent y'all laughing and making disrespectful comments about him as if the fucked up men you date are any better. But that's my bad. I never should have brought him around y'all," Judith huffed as she made her way to the bedroom door. "I sure as hell won't make the same mistake twice. My man ain't fucked up, you feel me?" "Shut up, Ruth," Jean said, waving her hand at the woman. "Mad, wait." "Judith, don't go," Lucian said, blocking her sister's exit. "You're right, and I'm sorry. Ezra seems like a wonderful man, and I'm so happy for you." "Me too, girl," Ruth said as she stood up to hug Judith. Fiona Ann and Jean followed suit, but Daedra remained seated on the bed. "I bet you can't be in the missionary position with his big ass. He'll suffocate you," Fiona Ann joked, hoping to break the tension in the room. "I'm sure I'll be just fine," Judith chuckled. "So wait a minute, y'all haven't slept together yet?" Ruth asked. "Not that it's any of your business, but no. So let me get this straight. You're willing to sleep with another woman's husband and you'll bang a dude you don't even love, but the man you head over heels for. Him you make wait," Ruth stated, shaking her head in confusion. "I don't get you, Judith. That's backwards as hell, you feel me?" "Well, it's not for you to get. Ezra understands me and that's all I care about," Judith sneered. "So if you're done throwing my mistakes up in my face, I'm gonna go get my man and get the hell up out of here." "Come on, Mad, you know I didn't mean." Judith rolled her eyes, then walked downstairs to get Ezra. She would never make the mistake of bringing him around them again. "Damn it, Ruth," Jean barked. The other women expressed similar frustration before heading downstairs, hoping to convince Judith and Ezra to stay. There was no use. She grabbed her man and promptly left the premises. Though Judith did feel like a bit of a hypocrite. She offered her opinion about their men on plenty of occasions with no regard for their feelings. So what right did she have to be angry over them doing the same? She still was, though. The following Sunday was Easter, and Judith hoped being introduced to Ezra's family and friends would go better than it had introducing him to hers. He asked her to invite them all for Easter dinner, but Judith chose to only ask Lucian and their mother Evelyn, something she would come to regret. Judith arrived at Ezra's house at 10 o'clock in the morning to help him get everything ready for their 3 o'clock meal. His parents, Michael and Mary Brock, had taken his brothers, sister, and daughter to church. Once Ezra told Judith the story about his past, she later learned how he'd chosen his new name. His brothers' names were Ezekiel, Ramon, and Preston, and his sister's nickname was Scotta. So he took the first part of each of their names and came up with Ezra Prescott for his new identity. It was his way of feeling like he still belonged to them even though he no longer carried the Brock name. So, baby doll, can I ask you something and you won't get upset? Sure, what's up? She asked, nervously. If it was just gonna be you and me at this dinner, would you be wearing this? Ezra asked, pointing at her sunshine yellow skirt suit. Well, no, but I thought it was more appropriate. To who? He laughed. I hope you don't think you need to look this way because my mother will be here. Trust me when I tell you Mary Brock is not conservative. Not even a little bit. But even if she was, I would never ask you to be anything other than yourself. I love it when you wear clothes that hug that little hourglass thing you got. It gets my imagination and some other stuff going. Ezra smiled. But this thing here is doing nothing for me, so I say we correct it. Okay, well let me run home and… not necessary, Ezra said, grabbing his cell phone. I got you, baby doll. He smiled then kissed her lips. Hey, Pam, it says. Hey, listen, I know this is last minute and I hate to put you out on Easter, but I need you to bring me your hottest gear for my girl. Yeah, a size 6. Oh yeah, that would be great. A size 9 shoe. She tried protesting, but Ezra held up his hand for her to stop and let him handle it. Judith couldn't pretend. She was impressed and never felt more loved and cherished. All right, Pam, I'll see you in a few hours. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. I owe you one. Oh, no need to thank me. Okay, see you. Ezra disconnected the call and planted another kiss on Judith's lips. See, I told you I got you. I'll always make sure you have what you need. Pam was one of the clothing designers who impressed Ezra tremendously with her talent and go-get-em attitude. For 2 years he'd been backing her clothing line and seeing great success in the way of profits. If anyone could design something magnificent that would complement his beautiful woman, it was Pam. Now that's what I'm talking about, Ezra exclaimed when Judith came sashaying through the living room like a runway model. That's what's up. She felt positively radiant in the black poly chiffon, floor-length dress with a turquoise contrast lining. It was a strapless sweetheart with extensive beading on the bust line and side of the bodice. The dress also had a high left slit which gave glimpses of Judith's amazingly shaped legs when she walked. Pam brought a pair of the baddest black heels Judith had ever seen and she felt like a queen walking in them. The look on Ezra's face when he saw her, however, was what she loved most. He seemed so pleased, so excited, so in love. Come here, baby doll. Ezra kissed Judith with such passion and intensity that he came close to ripping off the beautiful dress so he could of her. Woo, Lord, I guess I should have been in church today. Damn, he groaned, trying to calm himself. Maybe you should put that matronly suit back on. I don't know if I'll be able to control myself looking at you in this. Ezra moaned, kissing her again. The sound of his family entering the front door made the decision for him. He had no choice but to control himself. Damn it, Daddy, Aura beamed as she ran and jumped into her father's arms. Then she whispered to him, promise not to make me go back to Grandma's church. I didn't think it was ever gonna end. Judith smiled at the interaction between father and daughter. It was clear how much they loved each other, but more, how much Aura trusted Ezra. She trusted him to catch her when she jumped and she trusted him to keep her secrets. Tears sprang to Judith's eyes as she was so happy Aura had that and so sad that she didn't. Well, Barbie doll, I have someone really special I want you to meet, he said, holding Aura's hand and then grabbing Judith's. This beautiful woman right here is my girlfriend, Judith. And this gorgeous, super smart, amazingly talented young lady. Daddy, stop it, Aura blushed, playfully nudging Ezra. He planted a tender kiss on her forehead. This is my sweet baby girl, Aura. The two of them felt an immediate connection to one another and Judith embraced Aura as if she'd known her all of her life. It's so wonderful to meet you, Judith smiled, thinking Aura was even more stunning in person. Your dad talks about you so much that I feel like I know you. Yeah, me too, the 12-year-old smiled. Every time he mentions your name he has that goofy grin on his face. Ugh, yeah, that one, she teased. No, but for real, I think my dad has a crush on you. Before Judith had the chance to respond, Ezra's 61-year-old mother entered the room looking stylish and sexy. Ezra winked at Judith and smiled. She understood what he meant by saying Mary Brock was anything but conservative. The black wraparound dress she wore exposed plenty of cleavage and hugged her round hips. She sparkled from head to toe with diamonds and her makeup was flawless. Mary Brock was hot and no one could tell her differently. Judith was quite impressed with the pretty woman's style and vivaciousness. Now hold on just a minute. I didn't know we was holding auditions for America's Next Top Model up in here. Shoot, let me go change cause I ain't about to be outdone, Mary teased, then embraced Judith. You looking fierce, baby girl. I love this, she said, taking another look at Judith's dress and shoes. I hope Prim eats her little heart out. Mama, Ezra snapped, nodding his head towards Aura. Oh boy, please, Aura, no, I can't stand her mama. Granny keeps it real, ain't that right, baby? Mary asked as she made her way to the kitchen. What's in here to eat? I'm starving. Well, that's my mama, Ezra said, shaking his head. Judith laughed, then she, Ezra, and Aura walked out back to talk with the rest of the family. It still amazed her how much Ezra looked like his father. They were the same height and build, had the same warm eyes, and both wore a full beard. Michael Brock's was just a little gray. Their sense of humor and easygoing attitudes were also the same. It didn't take long for Judith to realize that there was definitely an opposites attract situation when it came to Michael and Mary Brock. Where she was loud and flamboyant, he was quiet and laid back. The same was true of Ezra's brothers and sisters-in-law as well as his sister and her boyfriend. Judith began to wonder into which category she and Ezra fit. She thought they were similar in temperament but had that theory blown out of the water when her sister arrived and she lost her cool. Because Lucian was always late, Evelyn decided to drive her own car to Ezra's house. The very sensual 57-year-old arrived in a short, off-white dress that hugged every curve on her 5-foot, 5-inch, 130-pound frame. Evelyn's recently dyed honey blonde hair hung to her shoulders and complemented her gold-tone makeup. She and Mary became instant best friends and spent their time laughing and gossiping about any and everything. Judith spent most of her time talking with and getting to know Aura. She truly was a sweet and loving child and way more confident than Judith was at that age. Judith attributed that to the role Ezra had always played in Aura's life. A father's love and support made all the difference. Hey, baby doll, I think your sister's here, Ezra called. Judith made her way to the front door and her head felt like it was going to explode when she saw Lucian helping Edmund out of the Jeep. Ramon saw that they were having trouble and he ran over to offer his assistance. Judith stomped closely behind him, growing more enraged with each step. Ooh, Mad, that dress is the bomb. What's wrong with you? Lucian asked, as Judith snatched her by the arm and led her out of earshot of everyone else. Ouch, I'll never forgive you for this, Lucian bellowed. Why in the fuck would you bring him here? She whispered angrily. He's our father and it's Easter, Judith. What was I supposed to do? Just let him sit in the house by himself. Well, if you were so concerned about him being alone, then you should have stayed with him, not bring his ass here. I can't believe you, she snorted. But I know why you did this. You're not fooling me. What are you talking about? Lucian frowned. You are so jealous and you're trying to mess up everything for me. You know Mama and Edmund can't be in the same room without some bullshit jumping off, so why else would you bring him except to ruin this dinner? Judith snapped, seconds away from tears. I protected you from this type of shit when it came to Andre, but look what you do to me. Is everything okay? Ezra asked. He'd spotted Judith and Lucian through the window and knew something was wrong. No, it's not. Lucian decided to bring Edmund here even though only she and Mama were invited to come. Now she needs to take him home. Stop being ridiculous, Judith. I'm not driving all the way. Hey, it's okay. There's plenty of room and more than enough food. So come on in and let's enjoy our time together. Don't worry, baby doll, Ezra said when Lucian walked off ahead of them. Everything will be fine. Come on, he smiled then led her inside. Everything definitely was not fine. The moment Evelyn spotted Edmund, all hell broke loose. What is that crippled motherfucker doing up in here? Came her immediate response to his presence. They were yelling and insulting each other like neither of them had a bit of sense. Though, before Judith could nip that problem in the bud, another one walked through the front door. Her name was Prim Richardson. Ezra told Judith that Aura's mother always joined them for holiday dinners, but if she had a problem with it, he would speak to Prim about making other arrangements. Not wanting to seem like the petty, insecure new girlfriend, Judith told him there was no problem and that they would make it work. However, Prim, standing there looking more beautiful in her simple, form-fitting skirt and blouse than Judith ever could, even in the spectacular gown she was wearing, made her reconsider. Who the hell is she? Prim mumbled to herself. If I had to guess, I'd say the future Mrs. Prescott, Mary said, startling the woman. I sure hope so. I've been waiting for my son to find a good woman. Prim glared at Mary, wanting nothing more than to strangle her. I dare you, Mary challenged, as if she could hear Prim's thoughts. All I need is an excuse to do what I've been wanting to do since you slithered your way into my son's life. I don't even know why you're here, so you better watch yourself. Go sit down somewhere and act like you got some sense. Prim rolled her eyes after Mary turned her back. It was something she did a lot that afternoon, watching Ezra fawn over Judith like she was some sort of goddess. And it only got worse when his best friend Big Bo and his 2 sons arrived. Ezra couldn't stop smiling as he bragged about Judith like she was the only woman in the world. Whatever, Prim thought bitterly. Everyone sat at the dining room table holding hands as Ezra began to bless the food. Edmund interrupted him to ask if he could give the blessing. "It would be an honor to say grace at your lovely home, son. I don't know how many more Easter Sundays the good Lord God bless me with, and I." "Shut the fuck up, Edmund. Don't nobody want to hear you." "Mommy," Judith mumbled, pinching her mother's thigh under the table. "Don't be disrespectful to Ezra and his family. His little girl is sitting right here," she whispered, mortified by her mother's behavior. Evelyn quieted down and Mary squeezed her hand. Even though they'd only known each other for a few hours, Evelyn felt certain Mary was the only one who truly understood what she was feeling. Every time Evelyn looked at the very dashing, very sexy 59-year-old Edmund, she felt foolish for carrying on with him for so many years. She hated herself for accepting his lies, cheating, and verbal abuse. Though, what Evelyn hated most was that his smooth, dark chocolate skin and chiseled masculine features still turned her on despite what she went through with him. Edmund Lawson still had the ability to smile Evelyn out of her panties and her cash. Ezra politely declined Edmund's request and said grace from the head of the table. All of the food was set in the middle of the long, dining room table for everyone to share family style. It almost looked like an assembly line the way bowls and platters were passed from one set of hands to the next. "This is a beautiful home you have here, Ezra. What do you do for a living?" Edmund asked while Lucian cut the turkey on his plate. "Well, thank you, Mr. Lawson. I appreciate that. Call me Edmund, son. There's no need in being so formal with your future father-in-law," he smiled. "I just hope when that time comes you'll show me the respect of asking for my daughter's hand." "I'll definitely show you the respect you deserve, sir," Ezra stated. Judith drank from her glass of water to keep from saying what was really on her mind. Evelyn drank from her snifter of brandy for the same reason. Lucian kept her head bowed because she could feel her sister's eyes burning through her. Prim couldn't wipe the grin off her face. She knew how much Ezra hated drama and figured he'd send Judith packing by the end of the dinner. A loud buzz filled the dining room as separate conversations took place at once. Michael Brock and his oldest son Ezekiel talked with Edmund about fishing while Mary and Evelyn laughed and talked about their favorite reality TV shows. Big Bo spent most of his time getting to know Lucian. He found it endearing the way she assumed a motherly role towards his 10-year-old and 7-year-old sons. He also found her very attractive. His boys seemed to like her too, which was more than Big Bo could say for the women he dated. Prim was amused earlier, but she didn't find anything funny about Aura being so cozy with Judith. They were behaving like 2 giddy teenagers, giggling about everything and admiring each other's fingernail polish and earrings. "Evelyn, can you pass me one of those dinner rolls?" Edmund asked. She glared at him before resuming her conversation with Mary. "Evelyn," he called even though Ezra's sister-in-law held up the basket of rolls for him to grab. "Is it that difficult for you to pass a dinner roll, Evelyn?" She snatched one out of the basket and hurled it at Edmund. It missed, so Mary grabbed one and threw it at him. Her aim was accurate and strong enough to knock Edmund's glasses off his face. "Won't you get one of them nasty bitches you like fucking around with to pass you a goddamn dinner roll? You stupid Martha." "Mama," Judith snapped. "Oh my God," she thought, and snatched her mother up from her seat. She looked at Lucian and silently communicated that it was time for them to get the hell out of there. "Now I know you got more sense than that," Michael whispered to Mary. He wasn't surprised by what she did, but that didn't stop him from being embarrassed by it. Mary sucked her teeth and held her head high as if it was perfectly normal to slam someone in the face with a dinner roll. Michael could be embarrassed all he wanted. Mary knew that given the same situation she would have hit Edmund again. Evelyn apologized to everyone, but that wasn't enough to calm her daughter. Judith couldn't escort her family out the door fast enough. They humiliated her beyond belief, and she would definitely deal with Evelyn and Lucian later, definitely. "Oh, do you think I can get a plate packed up for me?" Edmund had the nerve to ask. "I guess not," he snorted in response to the murderous look Judith gave him. As soon as the world's worst dinner party ended, Judith went to Ezra's bedroom to change into a pair of capri pants and a cute blouse she'd gotten from Pam's collection. She sincerely hoped that ridiculous display from her family hadn't made Ezra rethink their relationship. Tears threatened to spill from Judith's eyes when he knocked on the door. "I'm so sorry, Ezra," she cried. "I never should have had my family." "Please don't cry, baby doll. I'm the one who needs to apologize. I fully understand why you feel the way you do towards your father. I watched him throughout the day and I see how manipulative and underhanded he is. He definitely uses his illness to control your sister, and I feel she got put into a really bad position," he said. "The bottom line is I never should have allowed him to stay once you let me know you didn't want him here. I'm sorry, and I'll never be that unsupportive again. Please forgive me." She smiled and hugged him tightly. Being so close to Ezra, being held by by him was too much for Judith, and she wanted to get into the huge, wooden four-poster canopy bed with him and have her way. With Aura and the rest of his family waiting to have dessert, she knew her desire to be with Ezra would have to wait. It didn't mean Judith couldn't have fun with him, though. He was in the kitchen talking with his mother when she walked in and grabbed a banana from the fruit bowl. With Mary's back to her, Judith ate the banana very slow and sensually. Ezra almost drooled. "Hey, boy, I'm talking to you. Do you think you can go 5 minutes without your eyes on that woman?" Mary laughed, then continued on with her story, even though she was certain Judith was doing something naughty behind her back. Ezra didn't have a clue what his mother said. He was completely engrossed in Judith's banana performance. Then he decided to show her that he could play too. "Hey, Mama," he called as Mary made her way out of the kitchen, "didn't you bring some fresh peaches from your tree?" "You know I did, boy. They're over there on the counter," she pointed. I'm mad at you," Ezra moaned, taking a peach from the bag. He rubbed it tenderly before placing it up to his nose. He inhaled deeply and moaned. Then, with his eyes locked on Judith's as he stood in front of her, Ezra devoured that peach. Judith had never been more aroused. The slurping sounds he made nearly pushed her over the edge. And when Ezra let the juices run down his chin, she felt her vaginal walls contract. With a loud sucking sound, he removed the pit from his mouth and licked juice from his lips. "I love peaches." Ezra smiled, then winked at her before going to the sink to clean his face. Never once had a man been able to make Judith climax without laying a finger on her. The fact that Ezra had only made her want him more. "If you can set it off like that and you didn't even touch me, I don't know if I'll be able to take it when you do. But I can't wait to find out," she said and kissed him. Things got a bit intense between them before Ezra realized they had an audience. Prim caught the entire peach-eating demonstration and her body ached for him. Her heart broke remembering that it used to be her peach that he wanted. Judith and Ezra cleaned the kitchen before joining the rest of the family in the man cave. Aura beat her uncles mercilessly on the Wii bowling game. Then Judith took over as the reigning champ of the boxing game. They spent a few hours together before everyone packed up to leave. After a bunch of hugs and kisses from everyone, Ezra and Judith were finally alone. She grabbed his hand and cut off lights as she led him to the master bedroom. "I'll be right back," Judith said, leaving him on the bed while she went to the bathroom to freshen up. "God damn it," she screamed. "Baby doll, you all right?" "No," she yelled. "Mother Nature is a cruel bitch. Fuck," Ezra groaned under his breath as he punched the air. "It's okay, baby doll," he reassured her, despite how incredibly disappointed and horny he was. All he wanted to do was be with her, please her, love her. "It's okay. Can you bring my purse, please? It's in your closet under my matronly suit." Judith tried to laugh, but she really wanted to scream. "Thanks," she said, then closed the door. Thankfully, she remembered to put tampons in her purse even though she wasn't expecting her period for another week. "All right, I'm about to hook you up," Judith declared once she'd gotten herself straight. "There's no need in both of us being horny. That's not gonna work." Ezra enveloped her in his arms and kissed her cheek and neck. "I appreciate you being willing to hook a broth up, but I want to be able to please you too, completely. I would never take and not give, baby doll. When we get it on and popping, I don't want there to be anything getting in the way of all the plans I have for you." He smiled, then kissed her gently. "I love you, Judith Yvette Lawson, Judith Yvette Lawson." She burst out laughing, realizing he was teasing her from the night they'd met when she was so nervous she repeated herself. Ezra laughed too, but he longed to hear those 3 little words and could tell Judith struggled to say them. Hey, I didn't say I love you to pressure you," he said, taking a seat on the bed. "If it's not what you feel, then you don't have." "But I do, Ezra, I do," Judith stated as she sat beside him. "Really? Yes, I do. It's just that I'm not used to saying it. I can't even tell you the last time I said I love you to my mom or Lucian. I feel it and I'll go out of my way to show it, but saying it is hard. We didn't grow up in a lovey-dovey household, as you witnessed during dinner, and I love you is rarely ever said. And to be honest, well, you probably don't want to hear that. I want to hear everything. You can always talk to me, baby doll. I'm your buddy too, right?" "Yeah," she smiled. "Well, what I was gonna say is that I've always been more comfortable using my sexuality to express myself. I had that taken away from me tonight and I'm frustrated in how to show you what I feel. All I need right now is to hear you say it. Tell me what you feel." Judith swallowed deeply. "I'm in love with you, Ezra. I've never felt like this before and I don't want it to end. And there's no reason it should," Ezra said, taking Judith into his arms. They talked for hours, cuddled in his bed until they both fell asleep. Judith's slumber was fitful, though, as her dreams haunted her. There was a reason their relationship could and most likely would end.